everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Talking with Our Traders, a Caesars Sportsbook original series. This is where we sit down with our very own Caesars Sportsbook traders and dive deep into everything NFL and college football. Whether you're looking for insider insights or just want to hear what the pros have to say, you've come to the right place. I am your host, Cindy Edwards, and with me today, as always, is Craig Mucklow, Vice President of Trading here at Caesars Sportsbook.
Hello there.
And Joey Fiesel, Head of Football here at Caesars.
Hello.
Okay, guys, let's dive into some college football. Which non-CFP bowl game are you guys looking forward to most?
I'm looking at the Pinstripe Bowl, December 28th. Boston College, Nebraska. Doesn't seem like an exciting matchup, but what I like about it is it's Bill O'Brien and Matt Rule facing off against each other. Two ex-NFL coaches. I think both these teams are kind of on that little mid-range that are looking to kind of build up for next season. So really that's the one like coaching matchup that I'd really like to see, and it's two teams that I like. So that's what I'm looking most forward to.
That's why you asked the professional first. I'm going Bahamas Bowl on January the 4th, and Joey knows why. It's the last bowl game on the schedule, so the teams can focus on the CFP semis and the finals. We're not chasing our tail with injuries, motivation. I'm not playing because I'm drafted. All of that. It's the bowl games are a minefield. So once that's done, relax. Watch the
There you go. Yeah.
I like it. How hard is it to make odds for games when you don't know which players are going to be playing?
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
You can't just use a base power rating. I mean, that is taken into considerations, but you don't know who's playing, who's going to be in, who's going in the transfer portal, which teams are like, you know what, we're not opting out. We're going to play go full throttle. We saw last year with the Florida State, Georgia, that was a complete mismatch. We saw the line could have been high enough. It didn't matter what it was. Everybody was on Georgia, and they absolutely demolished. And not only that, it's like about finding the motivation. What team is motivated? Because it might seem like they might not be motivated, but they really are. We saw it a couple years ago with Alabama. Like, what? They're not in the college football playoff. Why would they care? And they blew the doors off their opponent. So it is very difficult, but it's just about making the adjustments on the fly and trying to get on the right side of games.
Yeah,
Right.
Joey's spot on. The motivation. You put a number up. You react to money straight away. You react to the news coming out. It's trading in its purest form because you've got there's so many different variables coming in and out. Like we saw last year, that Georgia number opened, 16 maybe, 14, and then got
14,
all the way up into
like
the 20s. And that was over by the first quarter.
Yep.
Right.
And probably Alabama will be the same this year. They'll feel a little bit slighted. But we know Alabama can't even win as a 23-point favorite. So it is tough, and it's hard work, and the boys in the back do a great job being on top of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, guys. Favorite bowl game name?
The Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa. Again, there's a lot of history that goes behind the name. They have a big old pirate festival. It's a big party in January. And this is kind of the staple to get that started off. So I just always like that name, and that's just...
I went with two, but they're not on the same day, unfortunately, which is a shame because in the Mucklow household, they're on the same plate all the time. The potato bowl and the mayo bowl. Yeah, I love my mayonnaise. It goes with everything. My doctor said to me, you need to cut down on the mayonnaise and the lamb chops.
Oh.
So I changed doctors.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
Oh, nice. All right, well, let's end it here. Did the College Football Playoff Committee get it right? Should SMU be in over Bama?
I think they got it right.
Okay.
I said it last week, too. I thought that Clemson might win and SMU gets in, and that's exactly what happened. It was a 56-yard field goal. Wins have to matter at some point. And SMU made this ACC championship, and again, only lost. They almost pulled the comeback off. Probably should have went for two, but they didn't, and lost on a 56-yard field goal. That should not have kicked them out to making the dance. They're a very good team. Would they be massive underdogs to Alabama? Yes. But Alabama was embarrassed by a mid-Oklahoma team and therefore missed the playoffs, and it was the right decision.
Rightfully so.
Okay. Yeah, it was. You can't lose a quarter of your games. Two of them as a 23.5-point favorite and a 14-point favorite. That doesn't speak national champion to me.
Yeah.
And that should be the ones out. SMU did well from a sportsbook perspective. We'd prefer Alabama because it'll drive
money.
more handle and more interest. But I'm assuming there would have been a 12 seed, which might have been a tougher road for Texas for us because obviously we're cheering against Texas now because of the bet.
Yeah.
But no, they got it right. What they didn't get right was leaking the information early.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Yeah.
No bueno. All right, let's do a game preview. Army versus Navy. Joey, what can we expect from this one?
A yearly tradition that mostly goes under, but I do not think it's the case this year.
I told you.
2023 Army, 17 points per game, 1.7 touchdowns per game, 294 yards per game. 2024 Army, 32.1 points per game, 4.3 touchdowns per game, and 394 yards per game. Navy, 2023, 17.1 points per game, 2.1 touchdowns, and 292 yards per game. Now 30.6 points per game, 3.9 touchdowns. This game's flying over. It's a completely different team. And it's going to be an exciting Army-Navy game. It usually is. It's just usually on the opposite side where they're grinding back and forth and a Craig Mucklow type game. Captain America, Bryson Daly, and the Army Black Knights have been taking a vast majority of the money here, and for good reason. We saw them win the conference championship against Tulane, a very impressive win. It's going to be an Army-Navy game for the decade. So I'm excited, and I can see where my pick is going towards the end of this.
We knew your pick.
Yeah.
Finally, two teams that have performed admirably on the football field, not just in their service academy.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this one. Army have won the 6 of the last 8, but Navy won 14 prior.
Yeah.
This is the 125th meeting between the service academies. But did you know this is only the 7th? There's only been 7 of those games played in either team's home stadium. Do you know why?
No.
Because they can't fill too many people want to go to the game.
Oh, wow.
So this will be played in Landover, Maryland, the
Yeah.
home of the Washington Commanders.
Yep.
Very nice.
It will be very cold.
Oh,
Be
all right.
chilly.
Keep that in mind. All right, guys, let's get into some NFL. Let's start off with who is your NFL coach of the year?
It's Mike Tomlin,
Yeah.
guaranteed. We wrote them off at the start of the season. They're on the cusp of winning a division title. They win this weekend. They're in the playoffs anyway. Dan Campbell would be the obvious answer, but he already had a great team. Expectations were high, and when I did his performance review this week, he got meets expectations because the bar was so high.
Right.
Yeah, I had the exact same thing at Mike Tomlin. If you look at when you look at this award, who is gone above and beyond what they were supposed to do? It's been Mike Tomlin. You have 2 quarterbacks to start the season, which usually if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. He's made it work. Defense has been phenomenal. Dan Campbell, yes, obvious answer. Everybody loves Dan. He's out there riverboat gambling, getting his, relying on his team. But again, your expectations were you were going to be a Super Bowl contender, and you are. So that's meets expectations. It's Mike Tomlin for me.
And the schedule helped them.
Yeah.
I know they played 2 or 3 games indoors the whole year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
All right, we're in agreement here. Can Jamar Chase win Offensive Player of the Year? I think he's really close.
8 to
He
1.
might get the triple
He's second.
crown.
I think it was plus 450 maybe. Last time I looked at the odds. It's going to be difficult with Saquon playing how he is right now.
Yeah.
And the Bengals' record is not great, which is not going to give him any favors. I think if the Bengals were in playoff contention, this line would be closer, but they're not. So I don't think he can get there.
If they're in playoff contention and he's knocking up those stats, then yes.
Yeah.
But they're not in playoff contention, and they're only getting those stats because they're chasing games all the time.
Right.
And they're in shootouts. I said last week Saquon will not win MVP because he will win Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Okay. Which franchise would you rather rebuild, the Jets or the Giants?
Can I take this first?
Yeah, go ahead.
As a Dolphins fan, why on earth would I want to rebuild the Jets anyway?
Yeah.
Okay? If Woody Johnson calls me, I'm not answering that call. It has to be the Giants for me, not just because of the Jets angle, the history of the team, the ownership. Am I right in saying that the ball is named after one of the original owners of the Maras? It's called the Duke.
Yeah, that might
I'd have to check, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's one of the historical owners. And the way when I was growing up and they were dominant in the 80s under Parcells, they just ran the ball. When they beat the Bills, it was a perfect game. They had the ball for 45 minutes in the Super Bowl. Love it. Proper football.
Joey, agree, disagree?
Jets, Jets.
Oh.
I like the more easier path. You already have a lot of pieces and a lot of talent. just need to find a quarterback, and you need to find the right coach to lead this team out of the dumpster fire that they are living currently.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're cursed.
How
but
did they lose that game on Sunday? Just
absolutely insane. All right, let's get into some game totals. Favorite Week 15 game for the total to go under? Craig, start us off.
this one's easy. It's the Chiefs and the Browns under 44.5, 25-mile-an-hour winds and 90% chance of rain.
Oof. Ugly.
Jameis Winston picked 6, though, so I stayed away
That's
from
what
that
we're
one.
doing too.
Stayed away from that one. Colts, Broncos, under 44 for me.
Yeah.
I think the Broncos defense, this is going to be a team that they're going to probably run the ball most of the game, under 44 for me.
All right, favorite Week 15 game for the total to go over?
There's one game.
It's too obvious.
Bills, Lions, 54.5. With how these defenses are playing, give me the over in that one.
We agreed on the Cowboys and Bengals because it was too obvious. And, of course, it went under. So I'm staying away from the obvious
There you
Bills.
go.
Yeah.
Lions, I'm going to go Dolphins, Texans over.
Okay.
In a
That
dome,
one.
no weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dolphins are desperate.
Yeah. I like it. Favorite Week 15 team to cover the spread? It's got to be anyone that's playing the Chiefs at this point, right?
Don't know, it's only 4.5 this week.
Right. I did see that. So is that something that is now we're kind of how many
Yeah,
one possession games has it been in a row? Like 7?
Too many.
Too many.
8?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're thinking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Denver -4. Was the one that was most different on my power ratings. I don't think this Colts team is. I mean, it's being more respected with Anthony Richardson, but I just don't think that that's them. I think Denver, they're really making that push towards the playoffs and to make sure they get in. So I like Denver to get this done.
Okay.
I'm going to go the Saints in the Caesars Superdome. Road favourites of a touchdown or greater, 3-6-1 against the spread this year. I think they're competing. Touchdown's a bit too much for me.
I like it. Pick an NFL upset for Week 15.
It's not an upset because it's only 2.5. The Bills in Detroit.
Okay.
I don't mind.
They will. They.
I don't mind that either.
It was a look-ahead game last week. The Rams came to play. It was a tremendous game.
Absolutely.
I just think they got caught out with one eye on the big game this week because it decides the MVP this week.
Mine's also barely an upset, but I like the Dallas Cowboys to get it done against the Panthers. I mean, that one's the obvious. This is the first time the Panthers have been favored in a long time.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
long time.
So, yeah, I'm just going to take the Cowboys there, just on the variance.
I like it. Okay, let's build your 3-leg anytime touchdown score parlay. Craig, you were very close last week to
Back to back,
cashing.
yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have this week?
Well, worst case was if I'd have stuck to my notes, it would have
Yeah.
won. And I didn't like it being 14-1, so I
He-
threw out A-Chain and put in Waddle.
That last minute switch.
Ugh, idiot.
Shame.
Okay, we're going Triple J this week.
Ooh,
And
Jay.
this pays 100-1.
boy.
John O. Smith, Miami, ride that horse, like plus 235. Josh Allen, obvious.
Duh.
Jared Goff,
Oh, boy. That's going to be, wow, that'll be wild to see.
because Riverboat Dan,
Yeah.
some pass to Goff, it'll be a receiving touchdown Goff, not be a
Wow.
quarterback sneak.
Okay.
I just
that
think
is a
Campbell's
play.
going to set it up because he's going to try and get his boy the MVP.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you got to do something.
You got to do
He's going
something.
to try to show off.
Yeah.
Joey?
I went Bills-Lions game, all three, J-Mo Williams, Josh Allen, David Montgomery.
What's
Only
the pay?
pays 9
1
to
to
1.
2?
9 to 1. Yeah.
9-1. All right. I like it, guys. If either of you, or if any of you at home like either of these, you can trail them on the Caesar Sportsbook app. Are you guys ready for some overreactions or not?
Always.
Ready?
Overreaction or not, the Lions won't get the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Overreaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the better tiebreaker record and easier schedule than the Eagles.
Yeah, and they just keep rolling. The Eagles have drama going on in the locker room. And that's one thing that Dan Campbell and the Lions do not have is drama in the locker room.
Even after
Yeah.
the player TikToked all the plays, the
Yeah,
things on the ball.
He let it, they tried, but then Dan Campbell's like, it's fine.
Yeah, all love. Overreaction or not, the Chiefs will not lose another game this season.
Overreaction. Yeah. Their luck has to run out soon. I only wish the Chiefs were at the craps table with me for the last 12 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like you'd be
Right.
walking
We'd
out
still
a
be there.
billionaire.
Yeah.
They've got 3 tough games to close out the season.
Right.
Those 3 games are against teams that were buried in the playoff race. Years ago, I think the Colts were 15-0, and they were talking about going perfect before the Patriots did.
Yeah.
And they rested everybody, lost, and then got bounced out of the playoffs, I think. You want to lose a game in the playoffs.
Right.
You want to lose a game in the regular season now
Right.
if you're riding this luck, and get back focused, because that was another way of beating us.
Yeah.
We're going to
The
have a
doink.
bingo card of how we lose this week.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, overreaction. They have about a 12% chance of doing so without them sitting everybody in Week
Yeah.
18, which they likely do. They have the Steelers,
Right.
Broncos, Texans after this week. They'll need that luck to continue, and that's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I truly believe that benching later in the season is bad luck, bad juju. I don't agree with it. It might be because I was a Patriots fan and they didn't do that. But overreaction or not, the Falcons should bench Kirk Cousins.
Not an overreaction. I think there's clearly something going on with Kirk. We talked about this preseason, them giving all this money, but then going with Penix, which was kind of a weird move. But I'd say you're not completely out of the division yet. I'd say try with Penix.
Yeah.
I think it's an overreaction because they competed for 3 quarters against the Vikings, then the wheels completely fell
Yeah.
off. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? No. Can they win the division? Yes. Who's got them these wins? Kirk has. I think you play Kirk out. You either win the division or you tank the rest of the season. It's Michael Penix's team next year. Get a higher draft pick. Move on.
There you go.
All right. Overreaction or not, the Rams will win the NFC West.
Not an overreaction. I think if they win Thursday and win out, they can put themselves in the position to beat Seattle on that final week, and that'll be your Sunday night game. And for the NFL wants that. They always want a meaningful game for that last game to determine a playoff spot. So, do I feel comfortable about tonight? No. I mean, it's the Niners. You always have the Rams number, and it's just always been the case for me. I think they can.
Yeah, it's not an overreaction. They control their own destiny. If they win out, they've got 3 divisional opponents, which is always tough, and Seattle last game. But they control it. You've just got to get over divisional game number 1 tonight.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Overreaction or not, Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL this season.
Massive overreaction.
Yeah. Overreaction.
Massive.
Same reason as Jamar Chase not winning Player of the Year. You're chasing games.
Right.
Could some of this blame come from the coaching? Probably. Is he top 5? Probably. But he ain't Mahomes, he ain't Jackson, and he ain't Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's clearly Josh Allen right now.
Right.
And it's going back to, Josh Allen cleaned up the mistakes that he's made in prior years. And it's what he does on the ground and in the air, which Joe Burrow doesn't have that aspect as well.
Right. Craig, any games on Weather Watch this weekend? You mentioned some cold coming into KC.
It's a little bit cold, isn't it? Yeah, we've got 3. So 90% chance of rain in the first quarter tonight with the Rams and 49ers. So Joey's indoor team are going to love that. Rain in the Bengals and Titans, but the big one is wet and very windy in the Chiefs and Browns. And that stadium doesn't cope with wind.
Right. All right. Bet at your own risk. Let's get into some game previews, and let's start off with that potential Super Bowl matchup, Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions. Joey, what can we expect from this one?
Hottest teams in football will face off on Sunday afternoon. These offenses are the top 2 in the league and will face off in a dome, is why we're seeing the total at the highest I've seen so far this year, 54.5. Lions are favored by 2.5 points, so we're giving them the slight edge with the home field advantage. Both these teams are going to be absolutely hyped for this game. Again, we saw last week it was probably a look-ahead spot for Buffalo. They didn't quit, though. I was getting texts like, wow, Rams are whipped. I'm like, this game is not over.
Is this game final?
Yeah, exactly. So both these teams are going to be absolutely hyped, and I'm expecting a shootout. I don't know who's going to prevail, so I'm staying out of the side on that one, but I don't know how you bet the under on this one.
The scheduling gods have crushed us this week. The 10 a.m. games, there's no matchups between winning teams, and a combined win rate of 41%. The only game that matters in the morning is the Texans and the Dolphins. And even that's not between 2 winning teams because the Dolphins are 6 and 7.
Yeah.
The 1 p.m. slate is loaded. 4 of the 5 games teams are in the playoff seeding hunt with a 62% win rate. Throw out the Patriots Cardinals, and that gets up to 70%. So, why didn't they flex one of these games
have
to
no
a 10
idea.
or what?
Yeah.
And there's
It's
2 Monday
insane.
night games as well.
Yeah.
So, you could have who's watching the Raiders on Monday? None of us.
No.
So,
None of us,
move one of
besides
those to
our
Monday.
producer.
Right.
Yeah. Home field is the differentiator for me here. It'd be interesting to know. I went to ask the boys in the back, but couldn't grab them in time. If Buffalo went Buffalo, LA, back to New York, and then travel to Detroit,
Right.
it probably wouldn't make sense. I know Belichick started all this way. You're going West Coast and going back, you stop halfway.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see Buffalo's travel. I think if they stopped Midwest, I like the
Be
Bills
okay.
in this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this will be the best team Detroit's faced all year.
Right.
And, you know, and the Bills can't afford to lose another one because the Chiefs get the 1 seed then.
Right.
And then you've got to go to Kansas City. And we know how that
And that's
ends.
we
their
know how
worst
that ends.
nightmare.
Yeah. Obviously, the MVP's decided this week. It's Goff or Allen.
Yeah,
Yep.
very excited. Next up, Steelers, Eagles. Both teams are division leaders, but the Eagles, like you mentioned, Joey, have some drama going on. So do you think that will come into play this week?
I think we're going to see more passing from the Eagles because I think they want to keep your stars happy. Obviously, Saquon is who he is. Jalen can run the ball effectively, but you want to keep those other superstars happy as you make a playoff run. So I think they're going to get AJ. Craig's shaking his head, but I think they're going to get AJ more involved this week in this battle of Pennsylvania.
If I'm a wide receiver, I care more about getting a Super Bowl ring at the end of the year and in my impending free agency, and then I can get a check that people want to overwrite to me.
Right.
If you're a team player, it should be how you win the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter how many stats I rack up or anything. Yeah, there's drama, and wide receivers are the worst for it. But at the end of the day, what gets you to winning? And the fact is, Philadelphia are winning all these games in a row because they're behind a great running game.
Right.
So, cut it out. Eagles have won the last 10 straight against Pittsburgh in Philly and 29-9 overall. My numbers had this as 40 on the total, so a bit lower than the market. It's 42.5. Eagles can clinch the NFC East with a win and a Washington loss, and the Steelers, who none of us thought, well, especially me, can clinch a playoff place with a win. Another travesty of scheduling. So we've got a 10-3 team against an 11-2 team at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun.
Another good one. Moving on, Sunday night football, we have Packers, Seahawks. Craig, break it down.
The Packers have lost 4 straight in Seattle and 2-6 overall.
Yikes.
Last 3 scoring games have all been in the 50s, so high scoring. I have this at 49, and the market's generally 46.5. Not a lot of weather to be involved. Big game, obviously, more for Seattle than it is for Green Bay, but big game for both of them. We saw some sharp money early on the Seahawks, +3. We laid 120,000 to win 100 yesterday, I think. So respected money.
Yeah.
And that line's probably moved it down to 2.5 now, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think it's about there. I'll check
Yeah.
again. But, yeah, I think it's, the probably same thing. Packers coming off the game against Lions. We know how those teams have fared thus far.
Yeah.
Both
Right.
these teams have yet to get that signature win to kind of have it prove it that they are contenders instead of pretenders. Seahawks won last 4 since their bye week, beating divisional foe twice with the Cardinals, which is not easy to do. The Packers coming up tough loss with the Lions. I'm leaning Seattle for that reason as well. I think just if anybody's real in this scenario, I think it's the Seahawks as opposed to the Packers. I think the Packers are a little bit overrated. So this will be the prove-it game, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, the Seahawks are definitely on that Christmas card list.
Yeah.
I mean, they've bailed us out so many times the last
Yeah,
few
they
weeks.
really
We've
have.
needed
Yeah.
them at 1 o'clock.
It truly is the last few years, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been crazy.
Absolutely. Okay, guys. Well, that will do it for our game previews. Let's get into some game picks for the week. Craig, do you want to remind everyone where we currently stand?
Ever since I threatened you with the joke about going 0-2, you've decided to go 4-0.
I
So,
know.
you're just
I'm on
going
a
to keep
roll.
rolling.
Yeah.
I will get the joke in. Joey and Cindy tied at 17 now. And I'm at 11. So, my picks, Chiefs-Browns first half under, purely weather play.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking that. I thought about Joey's obvious one because I know 100% what Joey's picking. I'm going to go FCS South Dakota -5.5 versus UC Davis. I did not pick it. Somebody gave it to
Okay,
me, so
fair
kudos
enough.
to them.
Fair enough.
And I think you should go next since you're crushing.
Yeah. Let's
Here's a
do
new
it.
leader.
There was no collusion in any of these game picks, but I'm going to go Army-Navy over. That's looking pretty good for me. And then I'm going to go NFL Steelers +5. Joey, what are you feeling?
I'm an Army-Navy over 39. It's fine. We can get past that one. I'm going Panthers Cowboys over 43. It was the biggest difference on my over-unders if I had, and I'm going to take it.
That's not a bad pick.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
Okay, well, anything you guys would like to say before we end the episode?
Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, cheers.
Good luck and happy betting.
Yeah.
Bye.